greeting each other, despite neither of them being the Ashe player for their sides?
Well, they might not be the Ashe players, and as you said, they might come head-to-head on the given map. And talking about map, if we get off these map bans, we might be able to break it down even further for the viewers. And, what do we think about Clubhouse? What are we thinking, Hap? Is that a good choice for Guts here?
I'm quickly checking, and I see 1 win and 1 loss, and the loss was against Giants with a 1-7. So, I mean, I don't know. Will you take that in? Like, Giants is really above everybody else, like with a couple of shoulder heights, right? So maybe Clubhouse will suit them well, but I'm a bit worried. Team Park, they haven't played yet, so that might explain why it has been banned.
Yeah, in this case as well, Nora Rengo have yet to actually play on Clubhouse. You kind of think you'd have seen them there at least once, given the kind of slower style of play they like to opt for. But no, this is their first time going there. We've seen them on Cafe a couple of times. We saw them on Oregon previously, in fact twice, and then Coastline is their other map. So they seem to kind of lean towards these more, I don't know, I don't want to say large maps because not all of them are large, but things like Oregon and Cafe being 4 out of 5, they prefer these ones where there's a good mix of kind of the gunfights and the strategy aspect to play. Clubhouse, I think, definitely leans a lot more in towards the strategy aspect. My biggest worry here is if Guts can waste their time on it, we're going to see that slow Nora that in the past has lost them a good number of rounds.
Exactly right. Unfortunately, Nora, with their time management, hasn't been too strong, but they've been able to win out the rounds in the last dying seconds, so they're capable of both, and we'll see what the viewers at home think. Of course, you can vote on R6 Esports APAC in Twitter, and you'll be able to cast your own vote, and wow, look at that. Looks like everyone's a Guts fan over Nora Rengo. You don't often see that every day.
No. Especially not given the name of Nora Rengo, right? It's still a big name in Siege history, but you know, lately they have been starting to fall down just a bit, and maybe a bit too much, coming in 11th so far.
So I think everyone started turning away, you know, all the Japanese fans are like, Nora Rengo, has been, 2019 was their year, this year it's the Guts year. Exactly, right? That's exactly what it is.
Wow. Well, given that we've got a few seconds left to chat, let me know, Des, what do you think? Scoreline going into Clubhouse. Nora hasn't played it. Do you think they've got it?
I don't think so, personally. I think this one's a Guts game. I think it'll be close, probably a 7-4.
I'm going to say 7-3 because we have to catch up for the left-hand schedule, so...
Wow, well, it sounds like we've got a few players still slowly getting into the lobby. We have Nora Rengo's attacks, actually, where they take forever to get to the site, and eventually, by the time they get there, maybe something, and I don't even know it's the Nora Rengo players that might be, you know, stalling out, getting into the lobby. But whilst we've got a bit of time, which is really good for you guys, Des, break down for me, at least for Nora Rengo, what you expect for them coming on Clubhouse. It's an unknown, I guess, map for them, at least in this season. Do you expect them to do things well, considering it's a pretty well-known map for most teams?
I think one thing I think is worth breaking down is when we say they're a slow team, this is one of the things that I think is really going to hurt them. And to give examples of that, it's very easy to sit here and go, oh, they're a slow team. To give you wonderful examples of it on Cafe in every single game, both the 2 games that is that we've seen them play on it, often we get to about the 60 seconds remaining mark, and only then, if they were attacking into kitchen, would they be sledging the floor open. If you look at many of the teams, they're normally there 30 to 45 seconds faster, and it does mean the end of the rounds can be really, really scrappy. And I think if you'd added 30 seconds on towards their setup on those attacks more often than not, they probably would have had enough time to get the drones in there, to get the setups they needed, and not be rushing into site to go for a plant with just 10 seconds remaining. My biggest fear coming into this map, depending on bans of course, is if Nora Rengo gets slowed down on the attack, they might just find that they don't have enough time to go for these executes. That being said, I guess it depends if they want to go for a full map clear or just try and go straight for the site. That's all going to come down to the early drone work, and that's what I'll be keeping my eye on in this game.
Hap, I just want to pull something that Des said there so that you could sort of give, or at least clear up some confusion for the community. Des said, if they stall our time, Nora will struggle. I seem to be aligned with that opinion as well. What do you think Guts need to do specifically? Let's talk strategies. Let's go deep into this now. We've got a little bit of time.
Honestly, Ben Maverick.
Okay. Yep.
Keep that
boys, I tell you what, really, we've learned something new here today,
potential, you can trick.
You should be a coach, mate. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. No, but like,
excuse me, get off the desk. Off you go.
The reason for this is, if you have Maverick, you allow them to open up CCTV and Jacuzzi without any counter to it, so you're not going to be able to stall any time there. If there's attached, you still have the opportunity to trick with your bandit or your mute or whatever you want to do. So there's a little bit more time you can waste right there into the hands of Nora Rengo, and that might be what you want to do to force them into those last 20-second executes that don't always go too well for them.
Right, so let's Rick ban Dez. What do you think? Do you think it's worth banning Thatcher as well? I personally think you can leave Thatcher in a map like that. If you ban him, then you've got to worry about Kaid and all of those different counters to not having the Thatcher in play. Do you even think that Nora might even run a shield?
I think they can spin things up a little bit here. We've seen some teams go for things like a Monty ban just to spice things up a little bit. Who knows what to expect today?
Well, I think our casters, we can throw over to them, give them a little bit of a chance to talk it through and see what their thoughts are. Enjoy the match.
Cheers, Jess. It is time to get into our double Japanese derby here. Gio, are you as keen as I am? Because this should be a fantastic game on Clubhouse.
I'm stoked. I think one of the really cool things about this matchup is that, you know, it's almost bad that I find it funny, but coming into the APAC North Division, 4 Japanese teams, we kind of had an idea of who was going to be at the top, and Guts have really been the spanner in the works. Who've been like, by the way, guys, I'm pretty good. Whereas Nora Rengo, this really storied team, they used to be the very best in their region, and they're trying to fight back for that title, and now they got to go up against Guts, who are probably the guy that they were expecting to stay behind them a little bit. So I think it's really exciting. I'm stoked to see how it's going to go.
It is a rematch of the Japanese Pro League last. Guess what? These teams played both maps on Clubhouse. On the first one in a dominant fashion, 7-2. And on the replay, managed to draw up 6-6. Now that is an impressive feat to go from getting dusted on a map to playing the same thing and managing to draw it. Nora Rengo has the head-to-head victory here over Guts. They are favored. Guts looking to get some revenge for that. Also, Nora Rengo undefeated in Clubhouse in 2020 thus far, whereas Guts just last week got stomped by Giants. One on this very map. We've also seen some good results though, because they beat Cyclops in the Pro League on this map as well, and Xavier in the APAC North League. So Guts are, in my opinion, I know we don't like to use the word dark horse too much, but they are the ones who we are hoping to step up. They have had very strong form, managed to take down Cyclops earlier in the APAC North League, which was an upset. They'll need to upset here against Nora Rengo for us to keep the confidence in Guts that they have earned with such a strong performance, ending second place in the first phase of APAC North League.
You know, I just want to say that Derry, he gave on the desk Hap some very sincere, I felt the sincerity emanating from his words, where he said, Hap, you should be a coach. Because Hap came out with this, you know, very in-depth idea that they should ban a Maverick. And guess what they haven't done? They have not banned a Maverick. So, Hap, your coaching career's over. Sorry, mate. Derry.
It was short.
Well, I'm sure sweet. You were being incredibly genuine with your words. But yeah, no. So Maverick is actually going to be available here. We're going to be seeing Light pick him up straight away, but Thatcher, of course, not. That means things like those hatches and walls will be a bit faster to open up. Kaid's going to be brought anyway. Capcan, not. Switching that out for a castle, which suggests we might see a little bit more of a roam alongside the Legion and the Mute there. Pretty iconic here. It's going for that castle pick downstairs. Everyone loves to talk about the SSG roam. I love crediting SSG pumping up their tires a bit. And they did kind of... they were the pioneers of roaming basement on Clubhouse with a castle, I guess at least in making it mainstream. And primarily it's all about that castle and the information denial and the time delay. So you've got the Mute and the Vigil. I feel like, you know, seasoned Rainbow Six veterans I'm talking about here. It's very difficult for the attackers to try and clear that, especially with the Thatcher band, which Nora Rengo themselves did. You can't just blanketly get rid of those Mute jammers. It takes some time. Your droning is thwarted somewhat. Papilia, also some information gathering from those Legion mines also will slow down Guts on the attack spot. So I really like this so far from Nora Rengo. It's not nothing crazy, but they paired it with some site utilities such as the electric claws from Kaid, which means it'll take Guts a little bit longer to open up these hatches than it would otherwise, as they're going to have to commit the Maverick Torch right thermite charges.
I find it interesting that Lily here has opted to bring the buck instead of the more common sledge that you see these days. Oh, all right, Yoshingo, you could have got that, but I'll forgive you, I suppose. And especially as that means that bringing the buck, you don't have those nades that would otherwise be available to you. But this is quite an early engagement here. Yura's going to be sending in the lifeline and consequently stunning himself instead of going in through the wall. And he's down about half his HP. He wants to take control here of blue, and therefore looking for those key picks. In fact, it's going to be Yoshingo that's the first to go down there to light, as the Maverick is also there in sight.
An essential pick there for well. We're looking at these roamers. How can they do? Coming back to sight, JJ stepped well. He's going to get that plant down. Nora Rengo, I like their roam idea, but Guts have dismantled their anchors. Their roamers left out to dry. Meryu now on the flank. The captain of Nora Rengo shut down. And Guts, a very strong first round here, showing no hesitation, bypassing this roam and committing to that bomb site.
I mean, the interesting thing is actually this takes me all the way back to Playday 1 when you know, we were mere children. Feels like it's been a long time. But one thing that Guts did when they were playing against Xavier is they did have a couple of rounds where they were able to just bypass that roam really effectively. They kind of just brute forced their way in, got those kills in swift succession, and very quickly took the site. Now, obviously, you can't rely on doing that every game, but it is something that they've done in the past, and perhaps something that Nora should have maybe foreseen. It's not necessarily always predictable, but it's certainly not something this team haven't done in the past. But now moving over to CCTV and Cash here for this second site. Nora Rengo changing things up, and they're going again for a lot of that information gathering. They've got Meryu here on the Pulse, Yoshingo on the Maestro as well. And once again, Guts have decided to bring the buck, and that means that getting rid of things like those evil eyes is going to be harder when you only have those 2 frag grenades, especially when you have to consider that there is a Jaeger and a Wamai who are going to be requiring a lot of that utility, like these flashes and like the you know, potentially the lifeline to sort of soak them up before they can even go in with those 2 frag grenades.
Attackers are moving out to locate a bomb. And so on the flip side, the Buck does enable that vertical play, particularly to flush players out of cash, those important positions such as green box right on that bomb. That skeleton key is the perfect tool to dismantle that. Here's an aggressive peek from Meryu. UMP, you land that headshot on the first or second bullet with that weapon, but Lily dodges every single round. And Guts not too stalled out here on this take. Something that we mentioned today in the pre-show or in the cast thus far is JJ was a long-time member of Nora Rengo for season after season. Went to events like Six Invitational, the Paris Major, multiple APAC finals events, and well, he was replaced. He moved over to Guts where he's had success. Crazy Papillon once upon a time also played for Nora Rengo. A bit of an incestuous set of rosters we have here, but Guts are definitely on the upwards trajectory, unlike Nora Rengo, and these players bringing experience from a team like Nora Rengo in their glory days. And now taking that into Guts is definitely something to look out for.
Well, Guts are going to be looking to come in here, heading through the jacuzzi wall, and there's Yura going to be getting that opening kill. But Papilia was really in a bad position there, because one thing I noticed was both the garage doors had been reinforced up on the rafters, which meant there was no rotate hole back into the site, and that put him in a position where he could be easily trapped, and it seems that's exactly what happened. Meriyu's ready here with the cardiac sensor, potentially, to be able to feed over the information as those members of Guts come in, but it looks like he's going to have to back off as he's getting caught out by those drones and a little bit of gunfire. So Guts should be able to move on in here without as much of that pushback and that intel gathering that Nora Rengo previously threatened to have.
Great time management for Guts. Jacuzzi wall, despite being reinforced by Nora Rengo, was made short work of thanks to the blowtorch. Also noticed that an exothermic... Ooh, there's actually one of those con walls is open. That's fairly unusual here, and it does allow Samatsuki the spotlight to try and take these aggressive engagements, but he's using the SMG-11, going up against players who have ACOGs. Now finally, that mute jammer dispatched with, JJ can use his second exothermic charge to open up the office wall into con. Guts positioning themselves very well for this construction take, and plenty of time for this to push from kennels. Already
player who was playing Rafters early on. Mary is going to take his position. There you go. That's a great pick from Soulboy playing in the dark corner to take down Urat. And now Nora Rengo have so much more flexibility in their movement within CCTV that they don't have to worry about that Kennel's balcony presence. How will this execute come through for Guts Gaming? Just looking for more picks, but can't find anything. Less angles to worry about, but also no entryway. They're going to have to file in through the door. That doesn't work out so well for Guts. The Buck Skeleton Key comes through to open up another rotation, but just JJ. He's finished off there by Meryu. Things started so well for Guts, but Nora Rengo clung on in the dying moments.
I think one of the problems there that Guts faced was they didn't even attempt to take garage control, which meant that in the later stages of that round, as they started to come in through construction, where not only Nora Rengo had those angles pointing through the soft wall so they could hold those, but it also meant that they were only really coming in from one angle. You did have Yura on the outside on the CCTV balcony, but he of course got gunned down relatively early in that engagement, which meant you don't have that pressure from multiple directions. No garage control meant you still had presence from Nora Rengo in there. That's another angle that can be held. And if you're really being held back from funneling into the site from the one direction that you have chosen to attack from, then that's going to make it so much easier for the defense to be able to gun you down. And that's really what went right for Nora there, and something that Guts are going to have to think about should they return. Or should they have to return to that site, I should say. But for now, they're not going to have to, as we move on to gym and bedroom. And we're going to be seeing the bandit be brought out here from Nora Rengo, which is something that I'd say over the last few days has been relatively common to see. You know, you can put batteries on those jacuzzi wall, you can put them on the CCTV wall, you can see the bathroom wall attempt to be tricked. It means a lot of time has to be spent trying to dislodge the bandit, but also having to dislodge the batteries as well, especially when, unlike what you have on the CCTV wall, over here on Jacuzzi wall, you can't just shoot them out from below. You have to either come around through gym, or you can use the Maverick, of course, to open things up, but then you still got to worry about the bathroom wall.
They're opting to replace the mute with the bandit. Seems like a strange decision to me while Maverick is in play. But I guess Guts will have to deal with that nonetheless. It does delay some time. I like this rotation cutoff and that deployable shield. Placed in the hallway, Crazy just looking for someone to overextend, but I don't think Ishingo is going to give him the opportunity to take that fight, land that bullet. I like this from Nora Rengo. They're fully expecting the Kennel's wall to be opened by the Maverick's torch. In fact, they don't commit any bandit batteries to it, as they know it's so free. And look, JJ makes the most of that by opening up the wall with an exothermic. A couple extra angles opened by the blowtorch there from Light. And now Yoshingo is going to be at the forefront of this defense, holding on, using that deployable shield.
And I know that that bandit is situated here in cache. That's why you saw them trying to poke on through with those angles there. And there's the electrification onto the CCTV wall. You see, the batteries have been placed down. So Mary is just going to be able to chill out here and hold on to that part of the map. And there's more electrification there on the external construction wall. And Crazy Papillon's just trying to hold on here at the jacuzzi wall as these two members here on the south balcony are trying to get those shots. Soulboy's going to have to move out the way to avoid them, and that means he can... Simatuki, sorry, Soulboy. That means he can try and hold on to the jacuzzi wall angle from Jim and hold back that member of Guts Gaming who could potentially move on in. That's Crazy Papillon out here.
Precarious position for Simatuki there. Just dodging between the two windows, the one on Master, the one on Jim. And of course, those angles from the breach. You see how keen Yura is to punish that player, but also very cautious of anyone in CCTV. Now Yura setting up a drone for his teammate to watch, and that's the evil eye to be dealt with in just a moment. Indeed, I believe it is dispatched with less information now for Nora Rengo. Soulboy put onto the pump. That's a good shot from JJ, but the exothermic, no, it gets tricked by Soulboy with the impact. That is perfect. Now, no opening for Guts. They've lost one of their key players, and they've lost that diffuser. Guts Gaming on the back foot.
Just under half a minute left to go, and every member of Nora Rengo is still standing. Crazy Papillon's going to be moving in, but Yoshingo's here ready in logistics, but he doesn't win out that engagement. But Nora Rengo's starting to turn things around. That's 3 kills on the board for them so far, just Crazy Papillon remaining. But he doesn't last for very long, and Nora Rengo once again clear up their defense.
It's looking very nice there for for Nora Rengo, and clearly it was the right decision to keep moving on and not retrying that Church and Arsenal bomb site. In particular, the two things that really stood out to me in that round for Nora Rengo's defense is firstly that aggressive position in gym from Simatsuki that we talked about quite a lot. You know, he was a hair's breadth away, just mere centimeters from getting shot by Euro on the windows or JJ or one of the other players from the Jacuzzi wall. Not only was he able to find JJ, who put that thermite charge down on the bathroom wall, but he stayed alive. He stayed as a threat into that late round, and he could also gas up that entryway late into the round as well. And secondarily, I want to point out Yoshingo on that Maestro. Sorry, it was Soulboy on the Maestro there.
Soulboy was on the Maestro.
To hold inside a bathroom and use that impact grenade to trick the thermite exothermic charge that JJ had placed. If that had gone off, even if JJ had died, it would have opened up an opportunity for Guts to clear out that washrooms. It would have exposed a lot more of the Nora Rengo positions, and Guts could have utilized those angles in through the bathroom and into the master bedroom in tandem with the master bedroom window to basically make it so that Nora Rengo couldn't play inside master at all.
I think one of the things as well is that, you know, even though there was some very early presence on the logistics window to try and hold Yoshingo back in the hallway, when he eventually moved towards logistics, there wasn't really any attempt to clear him out from there until much later on in the round. And I think that had there been, Guts Gaming could have had the potential to move into the site a lot earlier than they did and not find themselves in the problems that they were at the end, which evidently led Nora Rengo to, you know, getting a lot of those kills that resulted in their victory. But regardless, they're going to be coming down here to Church and Arsenal once again. And you said it was a good thing that Nora didn't return here earlier, as obviously they lost it. Guts Gaming, they won this attack before by pretty much brute forcing their way through the roam that Nora were holding. And they're actually going for something a bit different this time, a bit more anchor based, as they have the Wamai and the Jaeger and the Bandit 2 for the electrification to join Kaid as well.
When you see a bandit on this basement, my mind just screams church wall. Mm-hmm. And I expect that that's where Murray will be sitting in the late round. Indeed, he is. So not only can he put those statics down, but if it gets those batteries get destroyed by some means, he can try to trick any thermite, placing an exothermic charge. Yura looking for an opening. He's been quite keen on these entries thus far. Found that first pick on the cash attack. Looking for Yoshingo to over-aggress. Papilia, I really like this. An aggressive shield facing towards all. Means that if any player decides to drop that garage ladder, he will be punished. But the first one to get punished is Soulboy, who got a bit too greedy there. In towards Moto. JJ to punish. Teamwork there from JJ to cover Light through the holes. And Light actually finds Meryu, who took up that position. Well, Yura somehow allows to get dropped in oil pit, and Papilia struggling to hold on to that one. Surely the magnets will protect his shield, but he doesn't even need that. Cleans up with Hook. Now Nora Rengo once again having to make some rotations. Yoshingo to fill that position in Church that was from his former dead teammates.
Difficult position here, as Guts have failed to be able to gain control of Blue, as that Mai's still sitting there. They're going to have a go at opening up the Church wall now. You've got Crazy Pappy on here for the backup to try and get the shots through. They know that Bandit could be placed behind there, but it looks like, well, he's obviously down. One of those other players could have taken his place, but they're going to fail to find anything just yet, and that's going to mean that the wall can continue to be open. There are the pings in there. They know that Yoshingo has rotated and moved in, and he's just got to look out for all these different angles as the wall does continue to be open. Oh, that was a nice shot there through the wall. Good job there, Light, but he does get traded out there by Yoshingo. Two remaining members here of Nora Rengo make that one. Simatuki just sat here on the Maestro, and he's got to deal with three players. Crazy Papillon clears things up at the end, and Guts Gaming once again on Church and Arsenal, they do it.
Doesn't matter whether Nora Rengo do a heavy roam, doesn't matter whether Nora Rengo do a heavy turtle. Guts have got the answer, and I've got to say, the thing that made that possible for Guts was a little bit of aggression from was capitalized upon. We saw that very first pick from JJ peeking through those blowtorch holes made by Light on that Moto. That aggression from Nora Rengo perfectly read from JJ, and Soulboy got his head taken off. Following that, I liked the rotation from Nora Rengo to fill in a second player into that position to prevent Guts from just storming the bomb site. But Meryu was taken out in a very similar fashion by Light, putting Nora Rengo further at a numbers disadvantage. While they did maintain control of Blue into the very late rounds, Guts Gaming had such dominant control over Church with 2 early picks, and then the Maverick of Light to open up those low holes, a player prone at the main stairs, means that there's effectively nowhere in Church that you can play safely. That was when we saw Yoshingo on the Jaeger get more and more aggressive, eventually taken down. And yeah, I mean, it's for Mitsuki and on the Maestro there. So great stuff by Guts. Nora Rengo may be thinking twice about really aggressive peaks now that Guts are punishing them for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of interesting just having a look here. All of the times previously to this map that Guts Gaming have lost an attack on Church and Arsenal, it's been because their diffuser has been disabled. So they've been very effective at being able to attack that site. Now it's time to see if they can be equally as effective attacking the CCTV. They obviously had problems before, and it's going to be a narrow miss on those shots there. They obviously had problems before, and a lot of that came down to the fact that they did fail to take control of Garage and therefore found themselves being kind of bottlenecked as they moved in onto the site, because Yura outside on CCTV got taken down. That prevented that crossfire being made onto the site, and suddenly Nora Rengo found themselves in the advantageous position. So if that's something that Guts can adapt on, do better this time, and hopefully be able to set up those crossfires, set up the control in the parts of the map they need, then maybe they can take the attack here on this round 2.
Already some changes by Nora, opting not to reinforce the jacuzzi walls this time around, as Guts was so effective at dealing with that anyway. Ooh, is that an impact trick to try to go through the Maverick hole? Does not work out. But the way that thermite charge was placed, I don't think the attackers will be able to sprint through. They'll have to vault that tiny little bit, which may be a hindrance and may catch a player, make them slower if they try an entry. But last round, Meryu, while he was ineffective with his C4, he had some good early round information gathering, and he was late round to rotate and take position of Papilia, who had previously died in Garage. So if Meryu's not in the late rounds, he may be a danger to Guts, but he's going to get highly aggressive here. Surely there's a punish coming out. Stolboy the first to fall. Meryu still very eager with the UMP. Shots ring out his direction. He decides, okay, I'm going to get out of here. Goes potentially to Kitchen. Might be able to find a C4 onto Crazy, but currently in a position where the floor below him is solid, and Meryu can't find that C4.
And really hard there for him to get that value, given that Crazy Papillon was coming in from towards logistics, and they could set up that kind of crossfire, forcing the pulse away. I was seeing this particularly wide roam from him, and Guts are going to be able to move in through the map towards construction. And we did see before that once again they droned out and found out that that garage was reinforced, and therefore decided to come over to this side of the map, as they didn't really have much intel as to what was going on in there. This could be the next wall being opened. Simatuki just looking out through once again that soft construction wall, not quite able to land the shot, but they are aware that Guts is going to be moving forward. Frag grenade getting cooked. Is it going to get anything? So far, no kills have come out, so it's a safe no. Meryu no longer holding on to that C4.
Just a few seconds left for Guts to try to push in. They have that numbers advantage. Further now with another pick onto the bomb site. Great cover from Euro on the Kennel's wall. Light forcing that diffuser down. Meryu opts not to go for the vertical play, but Flame Cup rep, he's taken out. All on Papilia, and that is a flawless round for Guts. Start to finish. Time did tick away by the end of it, but a great execute did not give Nora Rengo any opportunity to steal away a moment. That's Guts to take this advantage 3-2.
One of the really big problems I think that Nora Rengo found themselves facing there was that even though you can bring a pulse and say, okay, he's got a cardiac sensor and we have information from that, he was really denied the ability to kind of get any value out of it. Yes, he could pass on the information as the players were moving in through, the west side of the map, but because he was forced out of his position by Crazy Papillon, not only could he, not try and get a C4 at any point, he couldn't get any shots from the top of the main stairs when he moved up to take the aggressive peek. He had to rotate all the way around the map, and even at the end there, he'd already expended his C4, and he could, of course, tell the rest of his team where those players are, but by that point they know, because they're in the next room, they're on site, they're sitting in cache, they know where they are. And so it kind of meant that there wasn't the sort of ideal amount of value coming out the pulse that you would have liked to have seen.
I think that Nora Rengo actually basically know exactly what Guts are doing, and that's not a problem. I totally agree with you. I don't think information gathering has been at a deficit for Nora Rengo. I think it relies on that information that has been a problem. And Guts has also been so efficient with their breaching utility. Never has Guts run into a problem with trying to open up the jacuzzi wall or the logistics wall into construction. And of course, they don't have to breach the construction wall into site, and perhaps Nora Rengo changed their decision. But once again, Nora, you're going to invest a lot of utility on this west side of the map around Master and jacuzzi wall. This time, they are going to reinforce the jacuzzi wall like they did the first time around. That'll slow down Guts a little bit. I'll use Light in all likelihood to breach that one open with Lily to remove the soft wall. There's some mute jams, and then the operator change we're seeing from Nora is the Mozzie instead of that pulse, which can not only get information, but also deny it, and also got that C4. Now, for Meryu, I want to be impactful, and I didn't see anyone from Guts going below to chase down Meryu in the late round. So I know it's tough when, let's say, Nor get overwhelmed on site and Guts can maintain a strong post plan or a strong plant position. But I'd like to see Meryu attempt to go for that plant denial with the C4 from below.
I think if it worked out, it would be pretty good to see, because evidently, nice drone. Evidently, it didn't work out before, and I think having the pests on the side could give them an alternative way of gathering the information, or at least denying the information the Guts have had in such abundance so far to them. So obviously now on the last round here of this first half of Clubhouse, and here in APAC North is a 53% defensive win rate, so if Nora Rengo are to take this round, it's not the end of the world. 3-3 kind of matches those statistics. You would want to maybe see a 4-2, but it's not anything too terrible. There's going to be that construction wall open pretty early as Guts Gaming start to send in through their drones.
Look at this efficiency once again from Guts. 2 minutes left on the clock. Kennels is open. 20 seconds later, Jacuzzi open. 10 seconds later, this is open. And now there is so much time for Guts to play with. Now, yes, Meryu is downstairs, but look at these anchors. Yoshingo and Simatuki both very low on HP. And this C4... maybe does not find a kill, and Meryu once again does not have his C4 for plant denial or to prevent players from entering the bomb site. Guts, in my opinion, is looking to be in an even better position they have been in, and now they have that number on their side with the mute going down and the C4 with it. Guts look to be unstoppable here, and the execute is just moments away.
Now, C4 had been highly broadcasted, but those frag grenades coming out from Guts also not going to get anything. And Yoshingo is going to be bleeding out there at the top of red stairs, and Meryu is going to have to deal with him. This could be a chance for Guts Gaming to move on in, but you know, you've still got 4 members here of Nora Rengo standing, including Papilia, who hasn't been cleared out just yet. But Light's going to move on forward, and he gets Soulboy pretty definitively, and Guts Gaming just move on in. 3 kills down for them as the diffuser gets planted, and Meryu is going to have to try and fight. He's the only one left standing. Can he take it? No, he cannot. And Guts Gaming take 4 on their attacking side here on Clubhouse.
Nora Rengo clearly did not stand a chance on that cash defense. What to say for Guts, the fact that they lost their first attack onto that bomb site and came back with a flawless attack and then a near flawless attack there, 4v0 at the end of it, is incredibly impressive for Guts Gaming. And once again, I do want to mention the efficiency with that. Well, it was with half the round gone, and every the Guts wanted to breach was open, and it was just a question of starting to find picks. And you've got all these angles onto the bomb site. These players are exposed, in particular, like the construction wall into the cash room that Nora Rengo decided to only half reinforce. I love the idea. It allows the defenders to play more aggressively, but I just don't think that ever worked into their favor. I think that enabled Guts to clear out the positions in cash more efficiently. And once again, Guts found the opening pick. In fact, there was only one round in that entire half when Nora Rengo was the first one to initiate a gunfight successfully, and that was on the gym defense, which was the most convincing defense we saw from Nora Rengo. Now for Guts Gaming, moving on to that defensive side, we know that a lot of these Japanese teams have been attacker favored. I get flashbacks to, I believe it was the Fav versus Cyclops game, I believe, from week 1 on the theme park, which was just an absolute massacre of attack win after attack win. Now we are on Clubhouse. People do like to say that this is defensive favored, but that Maverick is on the board, and Mira and Valkyrie are taken off the board. In particular with that Maverick, we know how efficient that can make breaching these walls. Like Guts, So we'll look to Nora Rengo. Can you show us a much stronger initiative here on your attacking side than maybe what we saw on the defense?
Well, you're going to be very happy, Dev, because despite the fact there's no Vigil, this is basically an SSG-style roam as you have a look at the defensive operators that are being brought out here by Guts Gaming. They're going to be starting things off on Church, which hasn't been their most successfully defended site so far in the APAC North Division. They've only been able to successfully defend it once out of the 4 times they've come here. But so far, things have been going pretty well for them in this series. Yura's just waiting to catch out this player. That's what he does. Simatuki gets gunned down very early, straight through the pixel angle, and that's going to allow him to return towards New Blue and retreat from the garage.
Yura has been on fire in the early rounds so far. Is that... thought for a second maybe another pick. But JJ puts a budget castle barricade there on the on the photo wall as he's decided, look, it's getting too hot on this default back, and in fact everyone from Guts has decided to do that, and I like that. You play for the pick and then you get back and play passively. Yura though not so, gonna play New Blue or storage as some call it. Shingo pre-fires for a moment. Love taps to go both ways, and I believe this is Yura's cue to get back onto the bomb site. Nora Rengo, Guts is taunting them like, hey, guess what? We found the opening kill. We took down one of your better players, and now we're still in a 5v4. You got off the take map control. I don't really care, honestly. You try and breach and execute onto site now.
I really like that tapping out as Europe moved down into blue and switched out from JJ, who was able to move deeper into the site. It's like they wanted to be sure that there was always that control in the part of the map that they wanted to have. Well, Nora Rengo, they have less than half the round remaining. In fact, just a third of the round remaining, but they're going to begin to move on down. Not yet got the church wall open, but those walls have been... those holes have been opened ahead of it, or above it, I should say, and someone like Crazy Papillon or Lily, who are holding onto those C4s, can very easily throw them in over. This is where we're starting to see the drop. Meryu, he's gonna get ready to open up the wall, it seems, but there's the C4. He's overthrown it a little bit, and Papilia is able to actually avoid that. And that's something good for them as Soulboy manages to get that shot onto Yura. So that key control down in blue has now been removed.
With 20 seconds left, where is the execute for Nora Rengo? No numbers advantage means it's going to be very dangerous to try and refrag us out onto the site. That mute jammer might spell death for Meryu. JJ not spotted, goes for the peak, but is punished now. Got hold the fort in the dying seconds. That's 2 huge kills for Crazy Papillon. Goes for another with the shotgun and locks out that round. Guts Gaming looking unstoppable here on Clubhouse.
Guts Gaming very well timed with a lot of the decisions they made then. Of course, they started things out on the roam, and they were incredibly efficient with when they started to move down. The very early kill onto Simatuki obviously helped things out and reduced the presence that they had to go up against on those upper floors. And then, of course, like I mentioned, tabbing out so that you always had that control there in blue, and it was Yura down there. And he wasn't removed until much, much later. You had perfectly positioned mute so they could deter the oncomers through towards Church Wall. Even though it didn't get any kills, it still did its job. And as soon as Nora Rengo had to start pushing into the site, which was a little bit disjointed, I have to say, Crazy Papillon just comes straight out and is able to clean up everything with those 3 kills at the end. Very, very impressive to watch. It looked incredibly coordinated, way more so than we've seen so far from Nora Rengo. They're going to be coming up here to Gym for their second site, opting not to go for CCTV. It's a site they haven't come to that much compared to the other two, so I'm interested to see what it is they're going to do. They're running things slightly differently to how Nora did, as they'll be bringing the Goyo instead, and that's not something we saw from Nora. Instead, they opted to bring the Wamai.
I want to put this into perspective for a minute as well. Talking about Guts and Guts, firmly in the lead and not just in the scoreline, but in terms of how this match has played out, Guts have always looked to be the initiators on the front foot. And that wasn't always the case. In fact, if we cast our minds back to the most recent season of the Japanese Pro League, in which both of these teams was not one of those top teams. Look, they were tender, but always lagging behind teams like Fav, like Cyclops, and even Nora Rengo. And in the match that they played on this map, in fact, both maps that they played is a double best of 1 in APAC Pro League last season. Nora Rengo won 7th house, and then Guts on the second map, drew it up 6-6. Now that is between, what, a 10-minute break between series? An insane way to make a comeback. Guts to fix their mistakes, go from winning 2 rounds per map to winning 6. And it seems like Guts have continued not just on that single Playday, but into the APAC, because Guts came through. Managed to come second in the first phase of our Swiss system. Nora Rengo sitting down the bottom, second last. And Guts have absolutely turned this around, looking like a much better team than they were only last season.
Now, there's a lot of presence here from Nora Rengo over on the east side of the map. And actually, I like where Crazy Papillon is positioned. He has those holes in the office wall, which means that he'll be able to watch out alongside Lily for anyone who begins to push in through that way. It's only Mario looking through the jacuzzi wall on his own. Usually you'd like to have a little bit of support, especially if that Maverick does get gunned down and suddenly you have no pressure from that side of the map. Nora Rengo, they're just looking to clear things out here, but there isn't really a huge Guts Gaming over there. Construction's really the easternmost part of the map you actually have anyone from the defensive side.
There was some presence in office, and there you go, Light and Crazy Papillon still to hold. Having 2 players stacked here means it's much more difficult for Nora Rengo to push through, and that's exactly what Papillon wants to do, but he's going up against 2 players with no refragger behind him. Very dangerous now, and also got that gas to stall him out. But there you go, Light goes down, thanks to Yashingo on the window. Conjunction there from Papilia and Yoshi to pull that one off, but there you go. There's the bite back from Crazy Papillon, and Office is still under the defender's control, so Matsuki wants to bite this off, start the contest, but doesn't know the exact position. Soulboy is there for the refrag as well, but Crazy finds a second.
come
Crazy!
on.
Another huge round for the Yay, and then polished off by Lily. Guts Gaming are nuts!
You mentioned how, Nora Rengo, they weren't well positioned there for the refrag, and then they sent in 2 players towards logistics so that they could just try to dislodge Crazy Papillon, and he gets a 3K. Under no circumstances should he be allowed to do that. And this is something that I think is very telling about the series so far between these 2 teams, is that when you have someone like that who's just able to take those gunfights that they have no business in winning, it puts you in a very good position. And now we're finding that Guts Gaming are sat here on match point. If they take this next site, then it's going to be a 7-2 victory against these former champions of Japan, against this team that have graced the world stage and won the hearts of the international audience. Guts Gaming, they came into APAC North Division so underestimated, and they're saying, no, I'm sorry, but you're wrong.
It's just such an impressive reprisal after they had such a strong first phase, but they did fall not only to Giants, embarrassingly 7-1 on this map, but then also to Fav, and we really were rating Guts higher than Fav. But they lost that quite decisively on just 2 days ago. Now coming in here, like Crazy Papillon has found 7 out of his 13 kills in the last 2 rounds, rather, a 4K, and then prior to that, on Church holding the fort with the smoke to find 3. Absolutely nuts stuff. He's plus 10 right now. I mean, what are you meant to do? And once again, Yura initiating an early gunfight. It doesn't matter if he finds nothing. He's just getting in Nora Rengo's heads.
I find it so funny he's plus 10 because when they played against Fav, he actually went -1. He had a really tough game. So it's nice to see, things turn around here. Yura, well positioned to watch out for any of these players here of Nora Rengo and on that wide roam. And they know what to look for. Light's going to get that first kill with a C4, in fact. And onto Papilia too. Yash no longer going to be available. CCTV wall couldn't even be opened up. That's a really big loss there for Nora Rengo, who are going to lose a lot of that attacking pressure that they would otherwise be looking for. Simatuki's going to be backing out as time ticks on. He's going to have to use that utility to even open that wall rather than worrying about flank watch.
Now, what's the play for Nora Rengo? They've lost some of their teeth. One of their entry fraggers, Yashingo here, setting up a flank watch drone for Papilia to watch, and now Yashingo also opening up an angle to watch down below. Yura, of course, may bypass this drone if he engages that disruptor, Vigil's ability
He sees the drone. He sees it. Oh, it's not lit up. Means Papilia is not on it. Yushingo gets aggressive here, but this flank from Yura could be huge if he times it correctly. He doesn't want to use his disruptor too eagerly, as it does give that notification. Now Yushingo's so wary of this flank. He's watching. Yura may well get punished here. It has to get punished for Nora Rengo to have a chance here. Stun grenade comes out. Yushingo to pre-fire. Beautiful stuff there. Nora Rengo claw back that numbers advantage against Guts with 1 minute remaining.
They're still in the game. JJ looking to see who's going to be coming along, but he's actually going to be able to get Soulboy. So again, Nora Rengo, they're really feeling the fire beneath their feet. Light's going to have to move on up. Simachuki's not far away, but Meryu's turning things around as well. They can get this wall open, and maybe they can begin to move more in sight, as they have to rely on the soft part here, getting the angle so far. Light, he just wants to see what he can get. No longer has that C4 on him, as he used it very earlier on. But with the SMG-11, he can bring down Yushingo. 2 versus 2 and 30 seconds remaining. Everything about this could give Guts the victory.
Match point for Lily and Light. Pressure is on. Meryu, diffuser in hand, knows he needs to find this kill. Pre-fire comes through, but not enough bullets lands. Needs to reload, and now it's all on him against 2 players. The hopes and dreams of Nora Rengo riding on their captain. It is Lily and Light to hold, and they do just that. Guts Gaming don't let it slip in the 2 versus 4, and that is a dominant victory over their Japanese brethren. 7-2 for Guts Gaming.
Just proving at the end there that, yeah, Crazy Papillon, he's a clutch god, but we don't actually need him to ensure that we can win out in these situations. Constant backwards and forwards there, and it looked for a bit like Nora Rengo may have been able to drag the series out somewhat more. I mean, look at those statistics there. Crazy Papillon with 13 kills, Light with 9. They just were on fire today, Dev. There's really nothing else you can say about it.
Nuts to think every single time Guts were the initiators, they were so good with their util on the attack. They had 7 out of the 9 opening engagements swing their way. I'm so impressed right now, and Guts proving to be a force to be reckoned with here in APAC North. Jess, over to you for you guys to break this one down.
Thank you so much, James.